Have you ever found yourself stressing out about money, wondering where it all went? Well, you're not alone, but here's the good news. By understanding the difference between needs and wants, you can take control about your finance situation right now. Hi and welcome. My name is Maggie. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Make me smile by hitting that subscribe button down there and let's get started. And let's dive right in. Let's break it down. Needs are essentials, as you might assume. So, food, housing, transportation costs, depending where you live, are needs for sure. So, naturally, those are your top priorities. Non essentials, so wants, at the other hand, are things you don't really need, like luxury items, eating out for dinner instead of eating at home, entertainment, and many more. While those wants are adding enjoyment to your life, they are not really necessary. So how do you manage your money better? By knowing the difference between needs and wants? Because sometimes it can get tricky. I want to invite you to stay to the end of the video to find out what's one of the biggest traps and how you can avoid a common mistake. But let's start with one obvious one. The transportation costs I mentioned before surely are depending on the place you're living. Sometimes it's easy because you can drive the bicycle to your work, everything is nearby, or like a lot of family members of mine in Florida, they are depending on their cars. You can have a want to an expensive car, or just take the car that you really need. Older car does the job too. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to miss out of their great expenses, but often those are the same people who complain about long working hours, less free time, everything that takes away their money. For me personally, I drive an old car working perfectly good, and I'm happy with more free time in my life instead of working just for my car or all the other things that I just wanted. But that's surely up to you. But even here, maybe someone in your area drives the same way every day. Car sharing here and there can save you money. But let's talk about one easier one. Food. That's a need for sure. While it's important to budget for groceries, healthy food fluids both your body and mind. While it's sure way more needed than junk food, for example, it's actually always about what brings you the most value. Impulsive buying is so easy. I know, and it's so tempting. Is probably the best known one by writing a list to stick to it, and I know that's not easy, but at the end of the month, that makes sure your pockets are still full and not empty. And honestly, sticking to a list is not even easy for me too. So here's one little hack that helped me. I'm going grocery shopping just once in a week, making sure I have everything down on my list for whatever I need at that week. Also for meal prepping. If you want to have a video on meal prepping and how to make it fun and easy, just leave a comment down below. I'm going to make another video on that if you're interested. But one small hack helps me for sure sticking on the list. So here it is. Whenever I'm going grocery shopping, I'm allowing myself to buy one item that's not on the list, but it has to be at least under $3. That way, I'm making sure I'm not tempted to buy here something, there something, and I'm avoiding a lot of impulsive buyings. The same goes if I'm going shopping with my kids. If I'm taking them with me for those 1 week grocery shops, I have 3 boys, they can have also one item for under $3. And maybe you're thinking that it's up to, you're right, but think about it, how much it added up in the last weeks when you went shopping. Buying more than 1 or 2 items or 3, 4, 5 items, that adds up even more. This way it's kind of controlled because I just have one item, I know how much I'm going to spend on that, and it's never going to be a huge amount of money I'm going to spend on impulsive purchases. The same goes for buying quality items. Instead of buying water bottles here and there, I have one good bottle that I bought, high quality, I wash it, I reuse it, and I save money by using that so much more instead of buying each time new bottles just because I'm thirsty when we're out and about. Another one is eating out that I mentioned before, which now you know it's a want and not a need. But eating out might be nice, and I'm not saying cut out all the fun. I love eating out, but I'm making sure it's once in a month. And all the other times when I want to see friends, I'm inviting them or I get invited. Everyone takes some food with them and we have a great time at friend's place. Because that's a common pitfall. The temptation to do what everyone else does, instead of going out like I mentioned, invite them. Here we have a big want section. Because how much clothes do you really need? A couple pair of socks, a couple pair of pants, here and there a t-shirt, and how much are you really owning at home? How much are you really wearing all of those clothes? Rarely, I guess. Maybe to see your friends buying the latest gadgets or nice clothes suddenly makes you feel like you should upgrade something too here and there. And I have friends like that too. But remember, just because everyone else does it doesn't mean it's right for you. And also here, I'd rather have quality clothes instead of quantity. Or if I want to have more different items, I highly recommend, for me it's always a great option, to also look at secondhand clothing shops. You might not even think how much great quality clothes you can find there. It's a treasure hunting. Same goes for kids' clothes. Now, kids grow out so fast out of their clothes. So secondhand clothes for me always work the best. And those items are really nice. A lot of people give things away, they're perfect quality, often new bought. You would not see the difference between a secondhand clothes or something that I got from a store. Yes, here and there for special occasions I bought a couple times in a year, maybe 3 or 4 times for their birthday or something, a nice clothes. All the other clothes are secondhand clothes and they're perfectly fitting, looking nice, have a good price. And also, for that price then, I'm not sorry if it gets too dirty. Kids want to get dirty, so I let them play with wherever they want. Other than I often see sometimes kids who are not allowed to make their nice skirt dirty or their new pants because it was so expensive. But that's mainly what kids want to do, what they should do. They want to go out and explore, so secondhand clothes that's really still in a good shape but didn't cost me a fortune are a perfect option. Or also ask friends who have kids in the same age than or a little bit older than your kids. Often, if they grow out of those clothes, they're happy to pass it on. The same goes for me. Often I passed on very nice, almost still new looking clothes to friends. There's so many ways to become a great consumer. But if you really want to have more than you have right now, you got to make the change. After all, if you don't make changes on your habits, you most likely be where you are right now in the next 2 or 5 or 10 years from now. Let's take a look on our hobbies. Now, even there, hobbies for sure are wants. But we want to have fun. We want to have a nice life. We want to have a fulfilling life, being able to follow our passions. But it doesn't mean that we have to do that always on the most expensive way. One of my dear friends, she loves horseback riding, but even her outfit that she needed was mostly secondhand. And even for me, I'm traveling a lot. If you follow me along, you know that by now. But I don't need an expensive, nice hotel, and Airbnb does the job as well, if not even better. And if we're having road trips, I'm preparing a lot of food just to make sure we're not stopping by at all those expensive highway restaurants. That way, I have more fun, I have more money for the travel itself, for experiences, or things that we want to see in the different countries. Or just traveling to not the most famous places, because those places are often more expensive. But a lot of beautiful, beautiful places are out there are often not that famous. The price is decent and you have the most best experience you would have never imagined. Like right now here, I'm sitting right now currently in the living room of a dear friend in a little village called Frangy in France, and I love it. And staying at friends' places makes it easier to travel too. Write down in the comments below, because I'm super curious, if you found ways to still get what you want on a good budget, still being able to follow your passions. For all other purchases, just keep in mind, pay if you have the money. That keeps you out of debt. Credit cards can be very tempting, I heard. I never used it. So for me, I stayed out of debt all my life. Because I'm sticking on cash purchases. I'm only spending what I have. That helped me staying out of debt. Building financial stability. For all bigger purchases, like a car or furniture, you might consider following. If you have the money to buy the item at least twice, then buy it. Now that's what I did all my life and it worked out perfectly fine. Sure, it's easier than it sounds. I had to be patient before I was able to purchase something that I wanted. That way I made sure I always had enough money, and my emergency fund was also well filled. Another one that helped me a lot if it comes to between the difference of needs and wants is thinking at least a couple days before I want something. 3 days to a week often help me a lot to not purchase impulsively whatever I just saw. If it comes to bigger items like electric stuff, like I mentioned, furniture, remember to think about a couple days before you buy it. You might even find yourself discovering cheaper options by having a couple days between the purchase that you would have done and the couple days you took to think about it. Ask also yourself if it's a want or a need, and whether it really fits to your budget and gives you a lot of value. This pause allows you to think about all the pros and cons of purchasing that, ensuring that you're making a thoughtful decision rather than an impulsive buy. So let's summarize quick. By prioritizing needs or wants, paying with cash, and staying out of debt, you'll set yourself up for a more secure financial future. So remember, choose wisely, think before you buy, and take control of your finances starting today. Now let's see what trap I meant at the beginning. It's all about get more, spend more. Have you ever noticed how it feels like the more money we make, the more we seem to spend? It's a crucial thing that has puzzled experts for a long time. Let's take a closer look at why this happens and how to avoid falling in that trap. First of all, there is a thing called lifestyle inflation. It means that as we earn more, we often feel a need to spend more to upgrade our lifestyle along with our income. When we get a rise or a better paid job, we might start eyeing fancier things like a bigger house, a nicer car. It's like we want our lifestyle to match our income level. Because there is the idea of showing our success. It's human nature that we want others to see us in a positive light. So when we have more money, we might spend it on things that signal our success to others, like fancy clothes. And then comes another very tempting point. We want something right now. When we have more money, it's easier to buy stuff impulse without really thinking about whether we need it or not. So all about wants and needs you heard before. And those three main things that I just mentioned are just triggering it, making it sometimes even harder to decide if it's a want or need. But now that you heard about it, it's maybe a little bit more eye-opening to you, so you can make sure to not fall in those traps as easy as before. We live in a world where everything is available at a click of a button. So it's easy to give in to those impulsive buys. For sure, I understand that very well. Now being more aware about the needs and the wants in your life make it maybe easier to make sure you're choosing the right choices for your money. And there's also the thing about buying more stuff doesn't mean it necessarily makes you happier, at least not in the long run. True happiness comes from experiences, relationships, not from owning more materials. So what we do now with the knowledge about human behavior? What we do now about the knowledge about get more and spend more? For me, the biggest key was to not pay attention whenever I had a bigger or higher salary, or whenever money came in more than normally. Whenever my income increased, I took the money right away from my normal bank account to a savings account or my investment fund. That way, that extra money was not even in my hand or in my mind whenever I did my weekly purchases or when I bought anything else. But for that, I surely needed to learn how to budget my income and my monthly payments. If you would like a more detailed view on how I actually budget, I welcome you to have a look on this next video. If you find yourself caught in the cycle of spending more as you earn more, it might be time to take a step back and think about what really brings you joy. Maybe it's spending time with your loved ones or pursuing your passions rather than chasing after expensive gadgets. By setting clear financial goals, creating a budget, and being mindful with your spending habits, you can break free from the urge to consistently buy more stuff and focus on what truly matters in life. Remember, it's not about how much stuff you have, but about how happy and fulfilling you feel. Make smarter choices to live a more fulfilled life. And like always, stay motivated, be productive. See you next time.